Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Shadow bringing you guys another video. Ended up facing another Doflamingo at TGS. Still on Smoker. I lost the dice roll here. They chose to go second. And you're going to see they open up with a Sengoku. And honestly, the perfect opening for a Doflamingo would be a Sengoku to Perona. You know, Sengoku allowing you to find pieces that you need, like the Jinbei. And then Perona to be able to restack your top 5 so you have a next turn play. Especially going second, it could, if you don't see another Jinbei in your stack, you could at least set your turns up for the next couple turns. So it does give you some type of options. But knowing that the Dofi has a Jinbei in hand, I'm going to suspect that they won't be doing leader ability, but trying to go as wide as possible. And unfortunate for me, I don't know if you guys got a glimpse of my hand, but I do only have a Tashigi's and a brand new. And I do reduce the Perona down to a 0 cost so I can get a 7k swing into his leader. And you see the brand new whiffed the search, sending a Moria, a Brook, and a Rebecca to trash. Rebecca and Brook, I'm okay with being in trash. Moria, no. But altogether, not getting a card off of brand new was the absolute worst thing that could have happened there. So, already sort of down. My opponent swings 5 and then is going to do a Jinbei to, I believe, a Law. Yep. And the Law is going to bounce the Sengoku. And I thought he was going to bounce the brand new, but he chose to bounce Perona back. Yes, Law is able to bounce both either character on your side of the field or his own side of the field. So, you can see we're already kind of down bad. I do another brand new, and this time I mill another Moria, deciding between the Borsalino and the Ice Age. And I consider grabbing the Ice Age just because it can be beneficial if I can find a Brook, comboing the Ice Age with the Brook. I just swing 5 with the brand new. He counters out, and I swing 6, and he gives me another 2k. Which is okay with me. I thought he would have taken life, but him pitching cards at this point, or this early in the game, is better for me. He did gain 2 cards with this, the Sengoku and Perona, but losing a 1k and a 2k, even better for me here. But I am in a pretty bad position, and he does putting, and you do see it's nothing but 2k counters, the Borsalino and an Ice Age. So at this point, I'm hoping to find anything for removal. This pudding is honestly going to be my saving grace here. That hand is my mulligan as well. Don't think I just decided to keep a handful of 2Ks. That's the last thing I'd want to keep against Dofi. It's great, but in this matchup, you absolutely need reduction and removal. And I did not have any of that. So you do see Rebecca, an Ice Age, a Borsalino. But this next turn, I will be able to do Ice Age. Leader ability to see it and then get an extra 1k attack, and then I can Rebecca, Brook, any of my opponent's character cards. So, and that is what I am going to attempt to do. And you do see after the pudding, he does play down a Sengoku, which again allows you to find the pieces that you need, and he finds another Jinbei, which is what I don't want to see him grab. I'm already in a point where I can't remove the field how it is. And here he's contemplating on swinging with the Law, which he decides to. Again, I'm taking it. I'm trying to find pieces that I could utilize. And here I decide to counter out of his leader swing. I'm looking for pieces, but I'm not that desperate to get very low in life. So, and to round off his turn, he's going to do a Perona again. So it's basically his turn to play this turn, which is great. Again, it's doing what Dofi wants to do, being able to find pieces and restack to be able to see other pieces for your next turn, potentially doing leader ability there. So I do my leader ability, which I need to attach a Don. Then I can activate main, choose one of my opponent's characters to reduce it down to 0. And if there's a 0, or give it a -1, and if there's a 0, I get 1,000 buff. So I swing 7 at the Law, and I do Ice Age for the Jinbei, which reduces it down to 0, leaving me with 4 Dawn to be able to Rebecca, grab the Brook from the trash, and play it out to KO. And I have one Don left, and I'm going to play out a Sengoku. And you see, I pitch out a 2K and a Borsalino. And I ended up seeing, I believe I saw another Tashigi, a T-Bone, and I forgot what else. But at this point, yes, I do want the 2K specifically for counter power, but I need options. So I'm trying to find a Gecko or a Jack. I believe I saw brand new in that search as well. So at this point, any type of key pieces is what I'm going to need. And even then, Borsalino's a great blocker, but in this matchup, bounce law is the thing. All Dofa needs to do is essentially just play out the law, and you can bounce whatever blocker I play back to my hand, since I'm only really playing Rebecca or Borsalinos. You do see the Dofi play, which is Justin. Using a Teach, 2-cost Teach, uses the ability to stack a card on the top, attaching 2 Rested Don to his leader. And he plays out a Jinbei, and Jinbei will play out another Warlord. Here's where it confuses me a little bit. I'm not sure why he didn't decide to swing with the pudding before. I think it was a misplay on his part. But he does decide to bounce law, bouncing the Sengoku back to hand and bouncing my Rebecca back. So if I were him, I honestly would have swung the pudding into the brook to at least ask for a 1K for my hand. But I do decide to give him 3K in counter, that being the Tashigi and a brand new. I did not give him the Rebecca because I don't have Moria. And if he gets rid of the brook right here, I can at least cycle the brook back again. So a little bit of a desperate measure, but this is just where I'm at currently. And then he plays out another bounce law to bounce Perona and bounce Brook back, which kind of skews my turn a little bit because I didn't want him to be there on play. But I'm okay with it because, again, at least now Rebecca will allow me to grab a 2K from the trash and I could still play the Brook out from my hand. So I was okay with those turn of events there. And again, contemplating what I gotta do here, because each turn he is consistently playing out a body, and I decided to just swing 5 into the Jinbei, hoping that he would let it go, because he's running low in hand size here. He's only down to 3 cards. He is flooding the board very well, but not swinging at his life is able to starve him. As you see, I am going to do Ice Age and an Ice Age into Moria, which is perfect because I do have a Rebecca in the trash. So the Rebecca will go off. I can do a Sengoku, but I'm going to opt to do a brand new because I don't think I have enough. Well, Sengoku's on the field, which is why I wasn't able to do the Sengoku, so I lied. Brand new finds the 5-cost Tashigi, which is essential. And then with the Rebecca, I just grab the 2K Tashigi. So you're going to see a bit of a confusion there. And I end up playing the Brook for my hand to KO the Bounce Law. And I'm prioritizing Bounce Law for KOs over the Jinbei because, again, Bounce Law is going to be the bane of my existence. So as long as I'm able to remove every single Bounce Law that he plays, I should be in a better position. So I've already KO'd 2 Bounce Laws. There should be 2 more in the deck, one of them being on the field right now. So currently sitting pretty good. Moria's on the field. I still have a Rebecca, which can potentially leave if he finds another Bounce Law here. But if not, I pretty much have board to where I can start picking at his little by little, especially since he is down to 3 cards in hand. Or I believe 2 at this point. Yeah, 2 cards in hand since he played out the Perona. And him looking in the trash can sometimes signify that they might be playing a Gecko Moria to be able to fish from the trash. But he ends up doing a Jozu to bounce his Perona and I believe bounce my Rebecca again. So this Rebecca is just being bounced back and forth from my hand and not. Which is okay because now again I can just continuously cycle stuff from the trash as long as I keep holding on to that Rebecca there. And then here he's going to swing 5 at the Brook. I give him a 2K, which I've had for a little while. And he swings 5 again. And I'm contemplating whether to give him another 2K. The Brook is very essential here. But at the same time, it's acting like a pseudo blocker because it's preventing him from swinging at my life, and there's only so much I can take. I do have 2 blockers in hand with a TCG, but I don't want to take as much pressure to life. So he swings 7 at the Brook using his leader ability and plays out a Weevil. Brook has to go right here, unfortunately, but I still have the Moria here. Moria will be able to clear at least one of these 4-drop Warlords here, and Tashigi would be able to clear the other one. So it's all going to come down to exactly how I sequence it. So again, I'm going to have to play out the Tashigi first and be able to reduce something down to 0. Once I reduce something down to 0, I will be able to get the 1k buff. So Tashigi does the on play for the Weevil, and then I choose to do the Weevil, and here's where it gets a little funky. I did decide to do, I'm rethinking it, but I decided to do the -1 on the Teach, because as long as there's a 0 cost on the field, your leader gets the 1k buff. So you can give a -1 reduction to a different card on the field, which I'm opting to do Teach here. And he sees the 0 cost, which is the Weevil, from the Tashigi. And I swing 7 at the Bounce Law, which is perfect that it goes. I do use the Tashigi's ability to not trash the Weevil, and I swing into the Jinbei with the Law, I swing into the Jinbei with my Gecko. And then I do Rebecca. Rebecca grabs Brook to play it from the trash to be able to KO the Teach, since now Brook has a -1 on play and will pop a 0 cost. So again, this is where it's important for the sequencing, because if you declare at a high stakes tournament that the -1 reduction will go on the Weevil, they can kind of shark you on it. But it is what it is. That's what the whole point of sequencing and taking your time is. So that's where the importance of ensuring you're kind of looking at all the plays. So that turn, I was able to essentially remove, I believe it was 4 bodies: the Weevil, the Law, the Jinbei, and the Teach, which is absolute crazy work there. But yeah, I'm running really low on hand size. As you see, I'm only down to 2 cards. My opponent here is doing the Sengoku and just did a Boa. And now I'm looking to see what he has in his trash, specifically looking for Bounce Laws, because if I'm able to get rid of this last Bounce Law that he has somewhere in his deck, it's the last thing I got to worry about, unless he does a Moria to retrieve it back. But other than that, we are pretty much set on our side of the field. We have the Tashigi, which can swing for 6. We have the Gecko that can swing for 9. And we have the Brook for the cost reduction if we absolutely need it. So we're sitting pretty good here. If he wants to swing into the Gecko, he was going to need to attach Dawn. But he's going to swing 7 and use his leader ability to do Boa, or to play out the Boa from the top, which will allow him to restack the top 3 or send it to the bottom. I know he's supposed to add the Dawn to his whatever character or leader that he wants. He did declare to me that it was going to be his leader, so I just decided to take the life. I already knew I wasn't going to counter out of 8. And without that, he now has 1 swing left, that being the Jozu, which could potentially swing at the Gecko, which is what he's going to decide to do, swinging only 9 at the Gecko. I give him the Rebecca. Don't need it since I do have the other one from the hand, and I'd rather clear the spot up and play it out again to grab something else. So again, what I'm going to try to do with this turn is remove the board. I do have, I forget what I have in my hand, but I have something that is capable of removing. I believe I have a Tashigi in my hand, which the Tashigi is going to be able to remove the Boa that is active. But I believe I want to at least pressure the Boa, because I have different things that I am able to do. So I do reduce the Boa by 1. And I grab the Tashigi, and I believe I'm going to play a Kobe. Yep, I play a Kobe over the brand new to be able to knock the boa. So I do KO the active boa with the Kobe since I did reduce with my leader ability. And I did it this way because I did grab the TCG from the trash, but if I didn't reduce prior doing Rebecca, the Kobe wouldn't have been able to KO it since Kobe can only KO a 3 cost. So I decided to swing first with the Shigi to the boa to bait out counter from his hand. I do want to swing into the Jozu with Gecko, but if he protects the Jozu, I kind of put myself in a situation of not being able to board clear this turn. So he does counter out of that swing for the boa, and I decide to swing again with my leader to his boa. And if he doesn't clear, or if he doesn't let this boa go, I was going to play out Tashigi to trash it and knock out that boa, or trash the boa, just so ensuring that he is not able to put a lot of pressure on me this turn. And you do see him contemplating here whether to counter out of the swing on the boa. But if he does decide to counter out here, what I'm going to end up doing is playing out the Tashigi to trash the boa regardless. And then I'm going to swing the Gecko Moria into the Jozu, because there's a chance that if he decides to just leave this boa here, and when I swing into Gecko, that he saves the Jozu with the last 2 cards of in his hand. The only drawback for him is that he wouldn't have a play next turn. So he does let the boa go, and the Gecko does swing into the Jozu, and it clears, which completely changes what I had in mind to do this turn, which was the Tashigi. And I ultimately decided to just attach it all on Brook, swing at his leader, and then reduce and pop the Sengoku to have a complete board clear. Again, being able to remove 4 bodies from Dofi this turn is absolutely beautiful. That's exactly what I want to do. And not only that, he is pretty much dwindled in hand size to the point where he doesn't have many options here. So I believe he's currently at 3 cards, maybe 4 from the draw of the start of the turn. So it does give Dofi some plays, which is kind of scary because anything that he gets could potentially allow him to do things that he wasn't prior to, which is obviously any deck. But Dofi is very scary because, again, Jinbei is a card. Jinbei can play out anything else, and anything else can do something. So the only good thing for me here is I am wide enough to the point where he's either got to pretty much at this point focus on my leader, and the Rebecca is what's going to protect me. So there's only 1 card in his deck that he needs right now, and that is Bounce Law. And he's to the point where he needs to find the last Bounce Law in the Perona search, or essentially grab it from the trash. So he does ask to be able to restack the top 5 with this Perona, because I guess he wanted to rearrange it differently. And again, at a high stake event, it's not going to happen. It's going to essentially be as soon as it touches the top of the deck, that's it. But this is locals. I know the people. You're not going to get any better if you don't help each other out. Of course, this is like the semifinals of locals, but I'd rather us get better and learn the lines a lot better. Justin has been on Dofi a lot longer, but again, you never know exactly what could have been done differently. So in my mind, at locals, I let people do changes just so that they can learn and do it correctly. Exactly what he let me do with the teach when I was reducing the teach instead of the Weevil. So you're never going to get better unless you figure this stuff out at locals. So you do see he decides to swing 9 and uses leader ability to bounce the Rebecca back to my hand, and he swings at life. I take it. I don't have the counter to be able to avoid that swing. And he plays out a Gecko Moria, and the Gecko Moria will grab a Bounce Law again. So now that is the last Bounce Law in his hand, and he just regained another one from the trash. So essentially going to play 5 Bounce Laws this game. At this point, I know that if I play out Rebecca and hope for the best, I'm not going to win. I need to remove his entire field this turn, and that's the only way I'm going to be able to win here, because if I reestablish Rebecca after that, I will be fine, because I'll have at least 1 life to be able to get through. And there is no rush card in Dofi. unless they are attacking Rush Usopp, which I have yet to see in person still. So my focus is going to be on the Law, which is rested, so the Gecko Moria will be able to clear the Law with no issues. Which I'm going to end up swinging 5 at the Law first. And I decide to swing 5 at Law to, again, bait out counter from hand just so that I can ensure that the clear goes through. And reduction doesn't matter here because I don't think I have anything in my hand to be able to reduce it. He ends up giving me the Perona, and I attach a Don on the Kobe to swing 5 at the Law again. He gives me a 2K. I swing 5 once again at the Law to see if he's going to give it up. Again, he's at the point where he needs that Law to stick, but letting it go is what benefits me. I swing 6 at his life, he takes it, and I'm going to swing 9, and he will take the 9K swing to his life, regardless of what he does. Even if it's a grab blade that bottom next one of my cards, I will be okay with it. I do tap 5 Don here to play out the TCG that I have in my hand to -4 the Gecko and trash it. I could have did that earlier, which would have been a lot better if I would have did the TCG first, reduce, and then attach a Don on my leader, trash the Moria, and then swing 7 into the Law, and then I could have swung the rest into his life to pressure a lot more. Potentially could have won that turn, but I'm playing it safe to the point where I know next turn I'll be able to get it no matter what. I was probably contemplating on doing Tashid or Rebecca to at least wall up and for sure be good, but I knew he had bounce Law, so Rebecca wouldn't matter other than the fact that it gets me a 2K counter from the trash. So at this point, no matter what my opponent does here, the win is pretty much in my pocket. He can get one big swing in on my leader, and I will have to take that hit. But if he plays out a blocker, Boa, I will be able to get around it. And you do see he opts to do Teach, and do Teach ability to stack a card on the top of his deck. I forget what he does, but depending on where he swings at, I believe I have maybe 1 to 2K counter in hand. So if he tries to go for Moria, Moria is going to be what I decide to save. So looks like I have a Rebecca, Brooke, and a Sengoku. So I only have 3K counter right now. And looks like he's got 4 Don on the side, potentially for a Boa. And he's trying to figure out his lines here, but again, regardless of what he decides to do here, I pretty much am wide to the point where all I have to do is put enough pressure. His hand size is pretty low. It's where I can get around pretty much wherever. And he decides to swing at Tashigi and play out a Jinbei, and Jinbei would play out a Boa, I believe it is, or a Bounce Law. Well, Bounce Law will bounce the Brook back to my hand, bouncing his Teach. And he gives me the last 1K that I need to exactly counter out to protect the Tashigi. Because I believe I had 4K, so that gives me 5K. I had a 2K, so... No, not a 2K, but I had all 1Ks. So that allowed me to be able to keep the Tashigi. So unfortunate for the Dofi player here. And plays out a Law to bounce the Kobe to prevent some swings in. I just swing once. He had just enough counter for that swing, and I could go in for the rest to win the game. But as always, if you like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video. Comment down below what you guys thought of the match, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.